That shit is crazy.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Oh, it's called the Klamath Project. CA water crisis. It says it's in my email.
What's called the Klamath Project?
That's the one that I was looking into. The major one that's up in, I think it said it's bordering like Oregon and California border. Because the problem, brother, is, and I'll give you my synopsis real quick before I get into the actual data here. Because really, I might not. I could probably remember off the top of my head. I looked into it pretty extensively. Obviously, we get our water from other sources, especially here in Southern California. A lot of it comes from the north, you know what I mean? And they haven't upgraded the structure of the dams and a lot of the infrastructure that create the aqueducts and whatnot, you know, the reservoirs. They haven't upgraded this shit in like 40 years, bro. And I guess in that same time, like our population has damn near doubled. So they've increased the way they use the water is better. It's more efficient now. You know what I mean? So we use about the same water, even though the population has doubled. But the problem is we never made any improvements to sustain it or to keep it, you know, flourishing. You know what I mean? And the contention of the farmers that I looked into, that were grape farmers, I believe, you know, they're saying a lot of the wine vineyards here in California are going away because they just can't maintain. Because they're not giving them water, bro. This is how it goes. The state rations off the water every year, and they decide at like a meeting who's going to get what. And, you know, a lot of people are fighting for it because, you know, the natives want it because it provides them the salmon that they live off of and they've lived off of forever. So they thrive off of that. And then there's other needs as well as like flushing some to the ocean that helps the salmon. They need to flush it as well because there's a lot of toxic shit, bro. A lot of runoff, like from Sacramento, they were saying, and Stockton and other areas that do commercial farming or whatever, you know, or even just industrial shit. And they're not properly treating the sewage. So it's causing the water levels to be just trash. So in order to fix that, some of the water, literally, I got to find the article when I get into it. I think the number's like 75%, bro. 75% of the total allotment of water that we have for the year here in California is going to get flushed to the ocean.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's why the farmers are pissed, bro. And that's why they're blaming the Democrats or they're blaming politics because they're saying like they understand that the ocean needs some of the water because we have to flush these systems and replenish for the fish, but they're saying that's a huge amount, 75%. So some of these farmers are only getting like 5% of the water they really need to maintain their crops. And it's been this way for years now. That's why I'm saying, I know we know because we live here in California. We've heard about droughts, and when it's a drought, we turn our water off. You know what I mean? We don't water our grass and shit. But it's getting to the point where they may start mandating shit like that, bro. I think in Vegas and a couple other states, it's already to that point where if you get caught watering your grass or using your water when you're not supposed to or how you're not supposed to, they'll pull up and fine you. They got police just for that.
Yeah.
So it's about to
They used to do it in Fresno when I was a kid.
It's about to get that way, brother. We about to live. So we lived through a pandemic we ain't never seen or thought of. You would get fined
on your water bill. You were allowed so much, and then if not, like when your bill came, because I remember my grandma being like, "Hey, turn the water off."
Yeah. And maybe that's good for us, bro. I think we've gotten to a point where we don't appreciate shit, you know? I do, and I know you do because I've been around you. Like if somebody leaves some water running and shit, you know, you'd be like, hey, turn that off. I know you're really on that shit. So it's crazy because we've all grown up in a time where things have been so good, and we may go through times where things get a little rough. But I don't necessarily see it as a bad thing. We probably need to learn from some of our mistakes and let's do it better. I think that's what the farmers were saying, like, is we can't, this ain't sustainable. What we're trying to accomplish is not working. And they say like California produces like a huge amount of the food, not just for our state, but for the country, bro. So with that being said, I was pissed when I told my wife when I looked into all this shit, because I'm like, how do they determine that the banks and big businesses are too big to fail, but they haven't fucking figured this out? How is this not too big to fail? This is more our livelihood than all that other shit.
Well, think about this for a second. So California, and I learned this in my real estate class a few years ago, so this is what you were talking about. California provides 90% of all produce for California.
There's the number.
It provides 1/3 of all produce for the United States. Okay, so think of those numbers.
Exactly.
Okay, now imagine if there was somebody you knew that had just purchased 250,000 acres of farmland in an area where there were no water restrictions, right? At this very moment, what they'd be able to provide to the areas that will now need it. Be amazing, right? It's like a perfect money grab.
Run that by me again. I'm sorry, I was looking for the
No
article.
problem. So, right now, with what you just told me, imagine if you knew somebody that had just purchased 250,000 acres of farmland.
Right.
Right?
Right.
In another state, so they didn't have to worry about these water restrictions.
Follow you.
Okay? And had backing from multiple entities.
I see where you're going.
How much they would benefit from that at the same time.
So you're thinking
that the president, at the same time that the president,
they're gutting California, huh?
right? At the same time that the president passes a law that is paying farmers not to farm.
You're cooking, boy. You're cooking, not boy, but you're cooking smooth.
So you got Bill Gates
because
over
I didn't
here.
even think about it that way.
Bill Gates just bought 250,000 acres.
There you go.
That's who I was talking about.
Now you're connecting the dots.
No,
you're cooking now. You're connecting the dots. Right? Thank you. Yes.
In another state, wherever that was, there's no water restrictions there. Okay? And then now he has access to fund the rest of the... Maybe California, with the amount of water they have, can still provide enough produce for California, but it's not going to be able to do 1/3 of the United States.
So we're going to take a
But
hit.
Bill Gates will.
Right. There
But
you go.
Bill Gates will.
So, and maybe I took it a different way because I see where you were connecting it to Mr. Gates, who's your daddy. We could even take it deeper because a lot of people are leaving California and they're allowing this to happen to California. And you got to think why. And you just broke down the why. Because I was looking at this story right here, and I'll get back to the Klamath Project. I might have some facts too, so follow us, people. Gavin Newsom invites world homeless to California. So Gavin Newsom pledged to house and feed the world's homeless population this week during a whirlwind comeback California tour that is designated to stave off September's recall by angry voters. This is an article you can find.
Have you ever been to San Francisco where he lives?
By Tory Richards.
There's tons of homeless people there, bro.
Yes, it's really bad, brother.
It's bad in San Francisco. I just took the train up there. You go through an area of Stockton, there's a whole homeless encampment everywhere. Fresno. LA is horrible here where we live. You know what I mean?
Kush and Chemtrails, the world's most dangerous podcast.